Hey, it's Michelle from the Gangsta Garden. I got Sage with me here. She's mad I'm in her sunlight, but I have to do videos indoors right now. It's 12 degrees temperature outside, and then I believe with the wind chill it's around 0. So we're indoors gardening today. I have a really small house, and this is the only spot I can do it. And we're having snow squalls outside. Uh, just a little crazy that we're planting seeds today. We are very exciting. So I'm going to be doing a winter sowing method. There's multiple ways to do this. We could go down a lot of rabbit holes, but I'm going to try to cover with you what is winter sowing, the containers you can use, soil, and then your seed choices. So those are some of the things I'm going to cover. So there is an official definition with the USDA about what winter sowing is. Essentially, it is a method of preparing containers. I have a bunch of containers in front of me so that you form something like a greenhouse environment. It is not a greenhouse. Specifically, it is not. However, these containers form an environment that is protected. They have to be vented, and then they stay outside. These do not stay in your house for the winter to germinate. They go outdoors. And like I said, how cold it is today, these are going outside today. They'll be fine, okay? A lot of the seeds I'm using they need to be cold stratified, which means that they need a season of cold or a certain time of cold. Some are 30 days, some are 10 days, some are 60 days. Very few are 90 days, but they have them in there. So most of these seeds that I've had have either been in my garage where it's been freezing or in my refrigerator. They didn't need to do that, but a lot of them are from last year. So that's just how it is. I'll probably have a little bit less germination rate on those, but honestly, by the time I get done with all these containers, I'm going to have more than enough plants. Okay. So one of the most popular methods is using milk jugs. You can absolutely use these. I find these great, although I have had issues sometimes getting them because I don't usually buy anything in a container like this. But friends usually have them. So what it is, I took this, I put holes in the bottom. You can't really see. Last year I made this container and I used a hot glue gun and I used the tip of it to make holes, and it worked. It worked fine. It took a little bit of time to get through everything, and some of the holes did come out a little bit larger than I would want to, but that's okay. You do not need to put anything in the bottom of your containers, okay? If you do that, your seeds will probably rot by some point. The roots, once they're starting to develop, they will rot. So you just need good drainage holes at the bottom. You don't need drainage or venting holes at the top like I did. I did do some in addition to this hole right here. This is going to stay uncovered. We want the snow, we want the rain, we want the precipitation to get in here. Or sometimes we're going to have to water these if we have no precipitation, and you pick one of these up and you go, ooh, that feels really light. You need to make sure that these are staying wet, and we'll talk about that too. So that's one container you can use. All it has to be is a container that can hold at least 3 inches of soil and has headroom of at least 3 inches. I like to go more because sometimes I leave my stuff in containers too long and they get really big. I'm gonna be honest, I still have stuff from last year in containers in the yard. We'll see if they make it. I put them in sheltered places. They're already germinated. I already have pretty big plants. They're already ready to go. I just never got the time to take them out. So I put them in a protected place. I threw some leaves on top of them and went, hopefully you're still here this spring. We'll find out. So other containers, what else can you use? Well, you totally use pots if you want to. With some of the pots that I am going to use, I'll show you what I'm doing. It's actually a really cool method, and I thought it would be really easy to do a lot of seeds at one time for the nursery. So I took pots, put them in a big container. I put holes in this container as well. My pots have containers, and I filled them with enough soil. And it's not heavy. It's not heavy. Even though I put, the soil is moist. It is not soaking wet, but it's moist. So it did add a little bit of weight, but I think this method's going to work really well. I haven't tried it yet, but that's on my way to go. So with this, I'm going to plant my seeds, and then I'm going to take the lid that I made holes in. I'm going to put that on top. Which lid is it? Sorry, I have so much stuff right here. You can't really see what a disaster it is. But yes, I have a lid that will click on top of this. I have handles that snap. And the water, the rain, the snow will get in through the top. So I'm happy with that. I'm excited to try that one actually. I saved these containers from a Chinese food restaurant. These are really good because you can get 3 inches of soil in here. I have a see-through top. That's what you need. If you're going to have a top on any of these, you need it to be see-through. It cannot be a solid top. I was going to use some of these that were recycled from the library. First of all, they're not transparent enough. You need to have something that's more transparent. This will not let enough light in. So that's strike number 1. Strike number 2 is the fact that if I put this lid on, sun's not going to get in here either. So, however, these can be recycled. I'm going to put holes in them anyway, and I'm going to put some transplants in there when they're ready. So it's not that they're not good. It's just that they're not good for this particular method that I'm doing today. So you can do a container like this, not like this. Okay, holes in the top, holes in the bottom. Soil goes in 3 inches at least. Mark your containers. Don't be like me and go, oh, I'll figure out what it is when it grows. I still do that. It's just how I am. So I saved a lot of containers, hoping to use them for winter sowing. This is one of them, and then I realized, oh, it's too short. However, I can always use this for another purpose, put holes in the bottom, or if I want to keep it solid, and if these have holes in the bottom, they can sit in there and they can absorb water. Can totally do that too. But this one is definitely too short. This one is nice and deep. I can get 3 inches of soil in here. Unfortunately, the top to it only gives a little bit of headroom for those growing seedlings. This is probably not going to work great, but I will repurpose it in another way. This is another container I saved. I think it was from Fruit from Kroger. It's a really great container. It's going to have just enough room, but the lid again is not tall enough in order to let the seedlings grow where they're still protected. So I'm going to repurpose this in a different way. These actually make really good water catchers for, I use them for my plants all the time. If I put a lot of water in something and it's starting to overflow, I throw it in one of these, gives it time to absorb, and then I'm recycling. So that makes me feel better. These I was thinking I could use for winter sowing. I can't. They're going to be way too short. The color is fine because you need see-through or transparent, but it's not deep enough. But again, seedlings can go in here later on. I could save seeds in these. There's a million things I can do with these containers. It's just not going to work for winter sowing the way we're going to do it today. I just need to get some crap out of the way because, as you can see, I have a lot of it. So, containers. You really can use just about anything. People use some really, really creative ideas. Some people use big plastic bags. Oh, that's one I didn't mention. Ziplock bags. That's another way you can do this. I have not done this method yet. I want to. It has a couple of things in it that's going to make it harder because you have to make sure that these stand up, because when the rain or the snow comes, you need it to get inside your bag. If it flops over, you're not going to have the moisture in there that you need for your seedlings to germinate. So I'm going to try some of these with stuff that I have a lot of seeds of. So it'll be an experiment. I did put holes in this. I just took scissors as it was flat and I just made little holes. I cut out the corners. I could do more holes if I want to. I could poke holes in it if I want to, but also transporting this outside, the seeds are going to get rustled around. So I'm going to do this method, but probably on a better day where I can do it outside, where I don't have to move them around so much and lose seed and seed falls down through the cracks. I don't want that to happen, but it is a method that a lot of people use. So I think it'll just take me a little time to sort it out and figure out the best way to do it. So for now, I'm going to use my plastic jug. I didn't bring my tape upstairs. I'll be honest, I have so much stuff in this living room right now that I don't think I could fit tape in here right now. But at the end, that's how we will seal this. So what I did is I put my soil in here, my soil medium. Now, that's a whole nother conversation, but that is a conversation I'm ready to have today. I make my own soil, most of it, okay? So what I do is I use coco coir. Okay, a lot of times it comes in bricks like this. You stick it in a container, you add water, and it expands. Really, really good natural resource. Coco coir is renewable. It is pH balanced. It is usually sterile. It is a good medium to mix into your soil for seeds. You can't just use this though, okay? Your seeds need a soil, not just coco coir, okay? Again, this is only one way you can do it. I use the coco coir. I add in some perlite, and everything I'm using is organic, just because for me, that's how I prefer to do things for myself, for my plants, whether it's food or whether it's plants. I try to do everything organic. So mix this, a couple cups of this. I kind of wing it sometimes, but that helps with drainage. This will help hold moisture. That helps drainage. Then you also need something that has some nutrients. I've been reading about this one, ProMix. Yeah, ProMix. I got this from Tractor Supply. It was really heavy because it's compacted. It has nutrients in it. It also still has perlite in it. I have not used it before. So far, I like it, but I will say this. There is something I want to grab. And this is going to go for a lot of mediums, okay? I started sifting through because it was kind of clumpy. So I started sifting it a bit and I found some garbage, not real garbage, but natural stuff. Rocks. I found sticks. I got a stick in there. Your plants are not going to like this stuff. So I sorted it out. And it really wasn't bad. But honestly, you're going to find stuff in a lot of these bags that you buy online or from the stores. There's a lot of things you don't want to use for winter sowing. You do not want to use seed starting mix. It doesn't have any nutrients. Your plants are going to need nutrients by the end of the winter, going into spring. They need those nutrients, okay? You can't have a completely sterile mix. You don't want to use moisture control soil. Some people do. People that live in really dry, arid areas, like way down south, we don't have that problem here in Michigan. And I have not used the moisture control mix, and I don't ever plan on using it for this purpose. And you don't use indoor potting mix. First of all, it's really expensive. Second of all, it is not formulated to be outside. So keep that in mind. So it's a little bit of a pain to make your own soil, a little bit. It's a little messy too. I have a tarp on my floor right now underneath my table as I'm doing this, just to keep it neater, because I do have carpet. What are you gonna do? That's what vacuums are for, right? I am a gardener. There's gonna be dirt in my house. So the soil is really important. And when you make your soil, I did half of the Pro Mix. I did half of my mix of coco coir. I know it's not a lot in here, but it's wet and this stuff holds water. Let me tell you, it holds water. So this is just the coco coir with some of the perlite. The perlite is the white little beads in there. It's actually volcanic glass. Isn't that cool? Pretty amazing. So I have my container with all of my finished soil, that's what I put into this container. And again, it's wet, it's damp. So I mixed my soils together, then I watered it and I let it sit, and then I mixed it again. So I do it like, probably not really see that, but there's a little bit of water dripping out. I can probably do a little bit more water in here. Your seeds need moisture and cold to germinate, most of them. Okay, so be on the safe side. Make sure your soil is wet, damp, not wet, damp, this kind of consistency before you put it in your containers. Before you put your containers outside, you're going to quick water them again. Some people, again, take them, put them in other containers of water that are larger, let them sit, let them soak everything up, pull them out, put them outside. Water's not going to last outside today. I can tell you that. It's just way too cold. So in this one, I am going to do, what am I going to do? Well, I might as well do these. These are my Prairie Blazing Stars. These have been in my fridge for a year. I forgot about them. They were in the bottom drawer. They still look good. I did get something on them. I'm not sure what happened, but I looked at the seeds. They look good. So I'm going to try them. This is a really great plant for butterflies. So hence having all the butterfly gardens, this is what I'm going to be doing. So there's not a whole ton of seeds here. I think I'm going to sow them all in this container. There's probably 40 seeds here. I could spread it out and do less, but I'm just going to take these and I'm just going to sprinkle. No, as I'm saying this and I'm looking, I'm not going to sprinkle them all in here because it's making me go, oh, they're going to get really difficult to take out of here. So I'm going to do about half. Yeah, I'm going to do about half. I'll put the rest back in here so that I remember. And on here, on the directions, it does say, germinate after 60 days of cold, moist stratification. Yeah, mine's only had cold in the fridge, so now it needs the cold, moist. I didn't have to put them in the fridge, but I did plan on planting those last year. I just forgot. So it says, for more information, blah, blah, blah. But they said that these seeds need to be covered with just a little bit of soil, nothing more than the width of the seed. And these seeds are not wide. Well, if I look at them long ways, they are kind of wide. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of my finished soil on top. And then I'm going to tamp it down. Just tamping it down with my hand gently. I'm not going crazy. One of the other big things you need to do is make sure you mark them. I had a marker. I put a marker out. I even filled it out with the name on it and all. Think I can find it? No. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this. Let's pretend that I wrote on it. Sticking it in here. You can use a permanent marker, but I'm telling you, those things fade really fast, believe it or not. So there are particular garden markers out there, or an oil-based marker will work as well. The sun exposure fades them really fast. So I would take this, I would squirt some water on it. I usually do mist the tops. I usually don't give it a ton of water. Then I would close it up, tape it, and I would take it outside, put it in my yard, put it in a sunny spot, but a place where it can't get blown all over the place. So you can sometimes put them in milk crates. You can put them in containers like my big plastic containers here. Some people put rods or rebar into the handles to keep them standing upright, because with some winds in some places, your stuff may get knocked over, or critters too. Critters can get out there. Knock on wood, I have not had a problem with critters getting into my containers, but many people have. So I'm sure it's going to happen eventually. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this outside. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to pick it up every once in a while, and I'm going to understand whether or not it needs some moisture. What you do want to see, you're not going to see it now because of the cold, but as the weather starts to warm up, you want to see condensation. You want to be able to see those little droplets of water that are on the inside of your container. One of the biggest reasons winter sowing doesn't work for people is things don't stay moist enough. And that can be a lot of factors. It can be your soil. It could be the container. It can be where you placed it. It could be lack of rain or precipitation. It can be a lot of things. So moisture is really the main thing here. You got to have them moist. And that's why you have a lot of drainage holes at the bottom. Any excess goes away, okay? So I'm gonna leave this out in the yard until the spring. And then in the spring, what you can do is there's a lot of different ways to do this. You can take this whole container, again, soak it in water, pull it out. Then you can just pop the whole soil component out, and you can tease out the roots if you want to, depending on how heavily you seed it. The heavier you seed it, the more your roots are going to get intertwined, and it's going to be harder to separate. But if you just do a few seeds, you're going to have a lot of wasted space too. So it's a learning curve. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out what's working and what's not. I tried sand last year to mix in with my seeds to spread them around a little bit easier. It didn't work so well for me, so I'm not going to be doing that anymore. But that's what you do. You put them outside, and then when they're ready, when they're about 2 inches tall, and they have their first set of true leaves. When you first see something germinate in here, you're just going to see some leaves that come from the top. That's not your true set of leaves. Those leaves will come underneath. So you want to have at least one set underneath your collodion. I didn't say that right. I'm terrible with Latin words and things like that. So the top leaves, that's not ready to transplant. If you get leaves on the sides underneath those leaves, either 1 set or 2 sets, you're good to go. Okay. And then you can take them and put them in your yard wherever you want, or you can put them into another pot to let them grow more. You can give them away to friends. There's so many things you can do with them. Chances are you're going to have more seeds than you thought you were going to have, because this germination method really does work. It has a very, very high germination method. There's always human error, okay? And there's always problems with certain things. I had things last year that didn't germinate at all. And then I had some things that did really, really, really well. So every year I learn a little bit more, I do a little bit more, and then I try to share that information with people who want to listen, like you, right? Hey, if you're liking this, can you please like below, hit like, maybe hit subscribe if you're really into it. I'm trying to build this video library for all my gardening friends, and it's coming. It's coming. But if you subscribe, you'll know when I put up a new video. So that is basically it for your containers, your soil. Now the seeds. Okay. That's one thing I didn't go into too much. I'm using all seeds. I'm doing all native stuff right now. I've got some butterfly weed here. I've got my liatris that I was showing you. I had something else over here. But I am not doing anything except my winter sown seeds right now, because if we do have a warm spell and something decides to germinate really fast, like say an annual, say like tomatoes. Let's just say that your tomatoes decided to germinate really fast. What can happen is we're going to probably have another freeze. These will be fine. They'll be fine. Sensitive plants, tender plants, like tender annuals, those are the ones that are going to have a hard time. So there are different times of the year that you want to do those. I can do another video about seeds because we can go on and on and on. But I am going to do my butterfly weed. I'm doing my liatris. But I'm not doing my annuals. Like, I'm not doing sunflowers. Besides the fact I don't do sunflowers in pots like this or in winter sown containers. They're just easy enough out in the garden, and I find that they don't transplant well. If I did them when they were really, really small, they'd be fine. But honestly, I'm not going to waste my time. I just broadcast my seeds and I go, good luck. So I hope you got a little bit of information here to help you out. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't know that a lot of seeds, particularly native seeds, needed the cold in order to germinate. I found this out years ago when I had a greenhouse at my old house, and I put, I think it was swamp milkweed, put it in a pot, and it was in my greenhouse. So it was pretty warm. And I didn't know at that point that it needed cold. So I started them out in there, and then I was really disappointed that nothing happened. So I wound up planting something else in there, right? Following winter, I took that pot stayed outside. And then in the spring, it started sprouting. And I'm like, what in the world? And I go, oh, that's the milkweed. So that milkweed needed that winter. It didn't get it the first time I put it in the soil because it was too warm. I did it when it was too warm and it didn't get its cold. But the following season, the following winter, it did get its cold stratification, therefore bloomed, actually came out really, really nice a year later. So some seeds are going to do that to you, and you're just going to have to learn as you go. But I'm using all native seeds to Michigan right now in my area, and most of them, all of them actually, need cold stratification at least 30 days. So that's why we're doing this in January. You can do this anytime after the winter solstice. You can do winter sowing anytime after, usually it's the 21st of December. This is the first time I've been working in my soil for this. Usually I start a little bit earlier, but it's been a little busy, so I haven't. But this is a really great method if you want to get a lot of plants. If you want to get a lot of plants, this is the way to go. And there is no one way to do it, but I would encourage you to follow the methods that are scientifically based, which actually, coming from the USDA, doing it the way they say to do it, it is scientifically based. But when you start changing up things and trying different methods, like winter sowing is not throwing seeds out in the cold on top of earth and waiting for them to germinate. Will that work? Sure, that can work. You're not going to get as high of a rate. You're going to get a lot of things that blow away. You're going to get critters that eat them. They're going to be exposed and they can fly all over the place. So you're going to lose plants that way. This way, they're in a container. They're in a container. They're contained. You pull them out, you put them in your garden when they're ready. So it's a really fun method, I think. And if you want to see anything else, I'll be doing a presentation at the Bedford Library on December, what am I thinking? January 31st. So if you want to come for that, we have 2 sessions, one at 11 o'clock, one at 2 o'clock, to break up the party, because last year there were so many people, it was a little crowded. So we decided to do 2 sessions to make it a little bit easier on everybody. So that's your winter sowing method lesson for today. I hope you have a great day. I still haven't figured out my mic and my remote clicker to turn my phone on and off. So we're going to do the weird crab walk again. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you soon.